Len and Vincent. I know you'll be reviewing one of my favorite Martin Lawrence movies, Blue Streak. Looking back at Martin's recent filmography and stand-up have made me question, does Martin Lawrence still have the comedic and acting chops? After Roscoe Jenkins, he just wasn't funny anymore. And if you look at the filmography after Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins, it reads like this: College Road Trip, Big Mama's House 3,
Lord,
Death at a Funeral, The Beach Bum, his thriller movie Mind Cage.
Oh, I remember that. I remember he made a thriller.
I don't remember that.
Oh,
he actually did make a thriller.
we should have switched it up and done that. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh boy.
It's like Chris Rock was in Saw. It was like, what is happening right now?
Make any sense? His failed TV show Partners with Kelsey Grammer. Yeah, that had,
Wow, I forgot that existed.
that had flop written all over it. And his failed 2016 stand-up, Martin Lawrence Doing Time. Bad Boys 3 is passable due to Will Smith and the storyline. Other than that, Martin wasn't funny in it. May I also add, in the Martin TV show Reunion, it seemed as though he wasn't into being there. It was just another check to pick up. His heart wasn't in it at all. Eddie Murphy still hasn't and always will. He showed that to me through Dolomite Is My Name and his SNL hosting set in 2019. I'm sorry, Martin just doesn't have it anymore. I've been following him since I was a kid during the first season of Martin in 1992, so it hurts me to say that he doesn't have it anymore. Y'all think he has it? If so, prove me wrong. Hope you all had a great holiday and a good 2024. Love, Michael.
I will say this. The Martin reunion, and even last night,
Oh, that's right, because
when
they
the
did a
cast
reunion.
of Martin just never looks like he wants to be there.
See, I didn't see him. I didn't even see the clip from last night.
Yeah.
So was he still looking a little checked out?
Yeah.
Really?
Like just sort of detached,
Mm.
you know? But just every time I see Martin Lawrence over the past 5 or 6 years, even during the publicity run for Bad Boys 3,
Mm-hmm.
he just never seems to want to be there, which I can relate to. Like I understand. Like sometimes you got to do this stuff. Like and he's rich,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know.
Maybe he didn't want to be there.
Yeah,
Maybe he's not as rich as you think
right.
because he was there. Like Michael is alluding to.
Right.
Just a check.
Well, you know,
I don't know how big a check it could have been, but
I would. We'll talk about this much more with Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins.
right, which we'll be doing in 2 weeks.
I would love to see something with him as an older comedian.
So wait a minute.
So something just
like he's more of a character actor in something.
Yeah. And
Really?
for the record, I don't know if he has the chops.
Yeah, I'm about to say he's never given me any
I don't know if he has the chops.
indication that.
You know what? We'll talk about this next week with Meet Dave. Like, I just feel like at some point when you are iconic, get weird with it.
Because you've got
Because
to,
you can.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, okay.
Like, you know who I'm digging now more than I've ever thought I'd ever dig, ever since the first time I saw his silly ass? Adam Sandler is doing really interesting stuff like every couple of years.
Mm.
Have you seen the trailer? Did you see the trailer for Spaceman?
No.
He plays an astronaut
Mm-hmm.
who's by himself, and he may or may not be hallucinating.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to be good or not,
Mm-hmm.
but look, you're Adam Sandler. You got more money than God. Get weird with it.
No, I hear you on that, and I saw that you kind of like making that allusion to Eddie Murphy. Martin Lawrence doesn't fit icon status.
You don't think Martin Lawrence is iconic?
No.
Why?
I think I think because he, just like we've talked about Blair Underwood, very talented actor, but unfortunately comes in under that wake of Denzel Washington, who was such an icon. He kind of like explodes over everything.
Mm-hmm.
Martin Lawrence comes in the wake of Eddie Murphy. And Eddie Murphy kind of like just, and Will Smith is popping at the same time.
This is where I disagree with you. I think after Def Comedy Jam and the television show Martin, Martin Lawrence actually creates his own lane.
Ooh, oh, okay.
And that lane, frankly, is black.
Okay, fair,
like I think
fair.
Martin Lawrence is more along the lines of, trying to think of a great equivalent of who I'm thinking about, who is iconic, but doesn't necessarily have quote unquote crossover appeal. Even though I think he's bigger. Like my test is always the two targets. Like the two targets. Like that's my black famous litmus test. Here in Philadelphia, there are two targets that I always think of. Like the Cheltenham target is black people target, and then it's like the target on Monument Road. And I always think about celebrities who could go to Monument Road and shop at that target, but there's no way they could go to Cheltenham.
Okay.
And like I feel like if Mary J. Blige just sort of put a hat on, she could go to Monument Road. But like she could not go to the Cheltenham target.
Okay.
And I feel like Martin Lawrence is the same way. Like I feel if Martin Lawrence put on a baseball cap, he could go to Monument Road, but he could not go to Cheltenham.
Okay, but that doesn't make him an icon.
I think it makes him more of an icon than what you're talking about with Blair Underwood, or an actor who comes in the wake of other people, because he made his own lane. Like I do think that there is a specific black lane where you can be iconic, and you don't necessarily overlap, like you're talking about with that generation of black leading men who never got to be the black leading men that they should have been because there was only room for one black leading man. Like I think Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, Martin Lawrence are three iconic black comedic figures. But part of what makes them iconic black comedic figures is that they each have their own lanes.
I see you on that. And I can maybe buy the argument of Martin Lawrence being considered an icon to black people, not so much because of his comedy, but because of the show. And because how the show resonated with people.
And Def Comedy Jam. Like, I don't think you can really underestimate the legacy of Def Comedy Jam.
The legacy of Def Comedy Jam is definitely there, right? And he is a part of it because he was a great host on it. I'm not discounting his role.
Yeah.
I'm not discounting his role in it. But I think the legend of Def Comedy Jam is the comedians that broke out on it. It's the Bernie Mac moment. It's the Chris Tucker moment. It is other comedians having
I also think
moments.
that if you look at black comedy, frankly, it has more of Martin Lawrence's DNA.
Okay, regardless of that, yes, that gives him, elevates him in black consciousness, right? And perhaps it puts him close to iconic level. In my eyes, I don't see him reaching the iconic level. I see Eddie Murphy. I see Chris Rock primarily and probably solely because of the stand-up. I see Dave Chappelle.
Right.
I see Martin Lawrence is maybe that tier right below. Yeah. And now mind you, he may have that tier all to himself. I'll give you that. But I see him maybe that tier
Do you
below.
think an icon has to have crossover appeal? Is Mary J. Blige iconic?
Yes. But Mary J. Blige, who I think does have some crossover appeal. So
Yeah, it's like right. But non-white women like that one song.
Right. But I think Mary J. Blige is the true icon for Black people in the way that you're saying Martin Lawrence is.
I think they're equivalent. I actually think they're perfect parallels. Like, I think Black people love Martin Lawrence more than they love Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle.
Maybe so.
Yeah, but that's huge.
It is, but I still don't. Mind you, I'm only saying me.
No.
And I'm not saying that he doesn't. Right. He gets the.
Quite honestly,
gets the flowers.
Quite honestly, if all of us, like we just had the Black people meeting that we don't tell white people about, just all.
Dylan, step outside.
But the full meeting. You know, not the branch meetings that we had.
Okay.
Like the full meeting. Everybody get a vote.
Everybody gets a vote.
We might love Martin Lawrence more than we do any other comedian.
That's not true. We don't love Martin Lawrence more than we love Eddie Murphy.
I think there are lots of Black people that love Martin Lawrence more than Eddie Murphy.
No.
You're showing your age bias. Right?
I'm not showing my age bias.
You're showing your age bias.
No, I'm not showing my age bias because for every one of us, meaning people in our age range, who loves Eddie Murphy because of Saturday Night Live, because of the stand-up specials, because of his earlier films, there are people in generations below us who love Eddie Murphy because of the family comedies and the cartoons.
I think they're fond of. I think you are really underestimating the resonance of the Martin reruns.
I'm not underestimating that, but I think you're underestimating how huge Eddie Murphy is in Black consciousness.
How much Dr. Dolittle? I mean, and I'm not talking about the donkey. And that, because, you know, that's just donkey.
I mean, you said just donkey. Shrek is one of the biggest, but there's three of them.
But nobody thinks about that as Eddie Murphy if you're 30. You just think about donkey.
See, but that's you looking at it from that lens. A kid knows that's the voice. Think of how it is when you, and maybe it's not for you, but for a lot of people our age, when we go to conventions and things like that, and we see the voices of our childhood,
it's a little detached
for you, but for some, there's a lot of people who it means a lot to them.
But
and I think you're discounting what that means to a generation that grew up with that voice of Donkey, that grew up with the dragon from Mulan, who grew up on Dr. Dolittle, Daddy Daycare, and a couple of his other sillier movies. The Nutty Professor 1 and 2. You know, they grew up with Eddie Murphy. I think you're so I'm not saying that Black people don't have mad love for Martin Lawrence, and perhaps an argument could be made that if we were all in a room,
right, the full meeting,
the monolith of Black people were in the room,
full meeting,
and we made that vote, that there would be Martin Lawrence might get more votes than Chris.
Oh, I think he definitely does.
And
Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle, yeah.
But I think Eddie would top him.
All right. Well, I don't know if he's lost it or not, but I wish he'd do something weird.